He came riding in with a purpose. Dust on his coat, rage in his gut. The town of Dry Creek hadn't changed much since he'd last seen it, but he had, and he didn't come back for memories. He came back to settle a score. Years ago, his brother died in that very town, a bullet in the back. Folks whispered it was justice, but he'd never believed in whispers, only in what he saw with his own eyes. And what he saw back then was a man laid in the dirt while others looked away. He tied up his horse outside the saloon, the boards creaking under his boots as he stepped through the swinging doors. The same old stink of whiskey and sweat, and the same old faces, older now, eyes that quickly looked down when they met his. He didn't sit, just stood there, waiting, letting the room get quiet enough to hear the dust settle. The barkeep stiffened, the piano man froze mid-note, then a cough from the back. "Didn't think you'd show your face here again," someone said, but the voice wasn't tough, it was tired. He didn't answer, just turned and walked out. That wasn't who he came for. The church bell rang once, noon, high sun, high stakes. He headed to the edge of town, toward the tiny wind-blown chapel that had always looked too fragile to stand. But there it was, still clinging to the dirt. He reached the door and paused. Inside, it was dark and cool. The air smelled of old wood and candle wax. She was there, kneeling, alone. A widow in a worn black dress, back straight, hands folded, whispering something too soft to hear. He froze. Rage stopped cold by the quiet dignity of that moment. She turned, slowly, didn't scream, didn't flinch, just looked at him like she'd been expecting him for years. "You want revenge," she said softly, "but you won't find what you're looking for with a gun." He didn't speak. Couldn't. There was something in her eyes. Grief, yes, but not just that. Something deeper. Forgiveness, maybe. Or understanding. She rose, every movement slow, like the world needed time to catch up. "I buried a husband," she said, "and a son, and half my hope. If you think you're the only one carrying pain, you're not." He swallowed hard, hands clenched. All those years of fury and fire suddenly too heavy to hold. "They said it was justice," he murmured. "They always do." A silence hung between them, thick as fog. "He was my brother," he said, "and mine was a husband who never came home from the mine. There are graves in this town that justice never touched." A creak from the pew behind. Dust danced in the light. "I don't pray for peace anymore," she said, "just for the strength to keep going." He lowered his head. The gun at his hip suddenly felt like a child's toy, meaningless. "So what now?" he asked. She didn't smile, but her gaze softened. "You ride out, or you help rebuild. That's all any of us can do." And that was the moment. Not when he drew his weapon, but when he didn't. He walked back outside, the sun hitting him square in the face. Blinding, cleansing. He looked around the town, not as a battleground, but as a place that might still hold a second chance. The widow stepped into the doorway behind him, still silent, still strong, and he knew. Revenge had brought him back, but something far older was asking him to stay, and this time he listened.